Live in Flagler County, covering evacuation plans there. Amanda McKenzie is live in Volusia County as power crews arrive in Central Florida.
Matt Trezza live at Orlando International Airport covering their plans. But first, let's get over to Jamie King now, who's got the new advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Jamie, good morning.
I do, yeah. We watch, we wait, we stay prepared. Central Florida again. Yesterday, we saw a little glimmer of hope, maybe a shifting in the modeling. Still banking out toward the east a little bit, and that's in line with the Hurricane Center forecast track. But that cone now has dropped back down through portions of far south Florida. It'll stall out likely in the Bahamas, but before it does so, we're going to achieve some tremendous winds in this thing at 155 by 2 o'clock this Sunday afternoon. It looks like it may stall out a little bit, and this is the critical moment here to see that turn by Wednesday 2 a.m. paralleling the Central Florida coastline with winds at 115 miles per hour. Here's the latest in the steering flow for you now. Again, showing high pressure as we talked yesterday and developing lower pressures off the central Florida, I should say the central United States, right through the midsection there, digging back down across the deep south over the coming days. That will hopefully create some type of escape route for Dorian around both of these weather features, all the while, again, just passing just offshore of us here in Central Florida. So the National Hurricane Center now has issued watches and warnings now for tropical storm across areas of Indian River County, Martin and St. Lucie, and portions of the areas now down through the coastal waters, actually seeing a hurricane watch up now. So time will tell, but as it draws a little bit closer, here's a closer look for you just to give you some perspective. At around Indian River County, Sebastian State Park through Fort Pierce and all the way down into the West Palm area. So everyone needs to be on guard. For more on the track of this dangerous hurricane in animation mode for you, it's meteorologist Kristen Giannis now with the latest. Chris, over to you.
Good morning. Yeah, I just wanted to go through this track, just a closer look. This just came down from the National Hurricane Center. Maximum sustained winds at 150 miles per hour. So this is a strong Category 4 hurricane. The latest track does show the storm slowing down as it moves over the Bahamas. So we're looking at Monday, early tomorrow morning, winds at 145 miles per hour, still moving over the Bahamas. And as we head into Monday night into Tuesday morning, the storm making that turn, that curve to the north, winds still at 140 miles per hour, still a strong Category 4 storm. And then continuing that journey along the east side of the state, you can see off the coast of Brevard County as a Category 3 storm. This is Wednesday, early Wednesday morning, 2 a.m., winds at 115 miles per hour. Continuing to travel up, going along the coast of North Carolina here by Thursday, 2 a.m., winds at 100 miles per hour, making that turn just off the coast of North Carolina, or excuse me, South Carolina and then North Carolina here as a Category 2 hurricane with winds at 90 miles per hour. So I want to take you to the models here. This is going to be very close. Again, we are still in that cone of uncertainty that does extend over the state. The models, though, are pretty much in agreement that the center of circulation, the eye, will stay offshore. If this pans out, if, again, the track that just came out, if this pans out, we could be seeing those tropical storm force winds, specifically along the Brevard County coastline. I want to show you the rainfall estimates. This is the European model showing if this storm goes along that track along the east side of the state, we could see up to 4 inches of rain. For our friends out in Melbourne, well over 3.5 inches out in Titusville, over 3 inches in New Smyrna Beach. But take a look at this storm. I mean, this is a massive storm, very dangerous, very strong now. Closing in on the Bahamas, Jamie.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Chris, we are watching this, and again, a lot of sentiment on social media. Unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of folks already breathing a sigh of relief and actually celebrating the potential passage of this. We do not want you to let your guard down. You need to stay prepared. I cannot stress that enough for you. I'll tell you, some of the model information a little disturbing, bringing that center of circulation a little closer, potentially through midweek towards Central Florida. So again, preparation key. You should stay calm and do not let your guard down as this monster continues rolling steadily toward our area. That's all for now. We'll send it back to you, Ron and Danielle.
All right, great job, Jamie. Kristen, thank you so much for that. 5:05 as Hurricane Dorian does take aim at the Central Florida coastline. Local counties, they are putting in place their evacuation plans.
Yeah, they're urging people to get ready to leave as well. Our team coverage does continue with Sydney Cameron. She's live in Flagler County with a look at their plans. Sydney, of course, they are still recovering from Hurricane Matthew.
they are 3 years later. Take a look behind me, though. You can see that businesses on A1A already boarded up and ready for Dorian. Just take a look. You see plywood right here. Some businesses even have sandbags out already. Flagler officials say even though Dorian's latest track is very good news for the county, people are still on high alert as they expect tropical storm conditions. Flagler pushing back evacuation recommendations. They won't come down until Monday, and that's only if they are necessary. But the sheriff telling people in hurricane evacuation zones A, B, and F, and those living in modular homes to still be prepared to leave if Dorian shifts back west. Others not taking any chances.
We're going to take a hurrication. We figured we'll just take a couple days, go away, and when we know the power's up and everything's okay and it's safe to come home, then we'll travel back home.
People still stocking up on sandbags as officials warn Flagler could still see a 4 to 6 foot storm surge and rains of 8 to 10 inches from Monday to Thursday.
Right now, we're probably going to get about 15 sandbags because that's all the car's going to hold, but we'll probably make a few trips.
Now, if shelters are needed, they will open on Monday. Officials are warning people not to let their guard down as they continue to track Dorian's track. Reporting live in Flagler County, Sydney Cameron, Fox 35 News.
Sydney, thanks. Well, power crews from across the country arriving, of course, in Central Florida. They're ready to work and restore power if Dorian knocks it out. Our team coverage does continue with Amanda McKenzie. She is live in Volusia County with the latest on their preparations. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Ryan. And yes, hundreds of power crews here are camped out at the Daytona Speedway, ready to get their assignment so they can just deploy to restore power. Of trucks and an army of 18,000 workers ready to help FPL restore power to whoever needs it if Dorian hits the Sunshine State.
I was in a tornado before, and I know how it feels to be without everything and getting everything back. So when you see people in distress, you do the best you can to help them out.
Despite the shifting storm, power crews still preparing for the worst.
You get a lot of rain, even with tropical storm force winds, trees can start going over, and then there will be outages. But we will not stop until the lights come on.
Workers coming from 34 different states as far away as California and even Canada, giving up days, maybe even weeks away from family to help people here, people who rely on them.
You come in, it's like Christmas, open up a fresh present when you're on Christmas Day, and when you pull in the neighborhood, everybody's out there waiting for you.
FPL grateful for these workers.
They're going to make sure that we get the lights back on as quickly, but also as safely as possible.
We're willing to put themselves in harm's way for others.
You want to return home the way you left, and I got little ones there too, he's ready to come back.
Now, if the lights go out, these power crews will first restore power to the power plants and then emergency locations like hospitals, fire, and police, and then the largest power lines. Now, to keep track of these power outages, you can download the apps for both FPL and Duke Energy. Reporting live from Daytona Beach, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Hey, it's great information to have right there on your phone for sure, Amanda. Thanks. Sandbags continue to be in high demand in Orange County. Thousands of those filled and taken away yesterday. Some people resorting to shoving sand into trash bags as of last night. Orange County saying there are no more sandbags available. Officials say more than 150,000 were given out.
A lot of sandbags given out there, and many people trying to evacuate or get to higher ground as Dorian hits the Bahamas. The massive storm is expected to hit the northern Bahamas today. Some people saying that they're hoping to get out of the path of the storm in time. Officials in the Bahamas say anyone refusing to leave is endangering not just themselves, but rescue crews as well.
And Governor DeSantis set to give another update on Hurricane Dorian today. That is set for 1 p.m. in the state's capital in Tallahassee. We're going to stream it live on Facebook for you. Well, despite the forecast track looking a bit better for Central Florida in terms of a direct hit, local and state officials, they, of course, still want everyone to be prepared.
Absolutely. So we all know the path of the storm, something like that can change at any moment. Officials say we will not be out of the woods until after the storm passes. Governor DeSantis saying even if Florida does not take a direct hit, we could still be impacted by wind and rain.
Floridians on the East Coast need to be prepared. If you have a plan, stick to your plan. If you haven't made preparations, please do so. We need to remain vigilant. We are not, certainly those communities are not outside of the cone.
And state officials are encouraged by the latest storm track, but parts of Florida, including those of us here in Central Florida, are still within the cone of uncertainty. So the storm preparations continue. And we continue to be your home for all things Hurricane Dorian. We are checking in with meteorologist Jamie King throughout the morning. In fact, we're doing it about every 15 minutes. You could also follow the track of the storm right there on your phone with our free Fox 35 weather app.
All right, still ahead on Good Day Orlando this morning. Orange County Public Schools using their buses in a unique way to prep for Dorian.
We've got that, plus taping up windows to cracking them to reduce pressure. We're going to be debunking some of those hurricane myths. Plus, Jamie, good morning.
All right. Yeah, good morning, Danielle. I tell you, this thing is going to be a monster later today. Mind-numbing 155-mile-per-hour top sustained winds by this afternoon. A very concentric guy looking mean and lean and trudging closer to us here in Central Florida. Everything you need to know after the break. Keep it here on Fox. We're going to keep you up to date after this. Stay with us. Back after this.
are boarded up, and some even have sandbags as businesses all along A1A are ready for Hurricane Dorian. Now, Flagler officials say that while the latest track is very good for the county, they are urging people not to let their guard down.
4 to 6 foot storm surge is still possible in Flagler County, with rains now of 8 to 10 inches.
As Flagler braces for Dorian, the sheriff warning people in hurricane evacuation zones A, B, and F, and those living in modular homes to still be prepared to leave if Dorian shifts back west. Official evacuation recommendations are expected tomorrow.
It goes out to sea, that's what everybody wants, so let's hope that happens.
Dorian's latest track providing some relief for people, but they are still preparing just in case.
Yeah, I'm just getting gas. I got 7 more of these 5-gallon buckets in storage.
Now, the Flagler County Sheriff is reminding people that we could be expecting tropical storm conditions here in Flagler County early on this week, so be prepared for that. Shelters, if they are needed, could open on Monday, so that's tomorrow. Reporting live in Flagler County, Sydney Cameron, Fox 35 News.
Yeah, a place they know that all too well. Sydney, thanks. Well, power crews from across the country, they are arriving and have been in Central Florida.
And they are ready to get to work to restore power if Dorian knocks it out. Our team coverage continues this morning with the news station's Amanda McKenzie. She is live in Volusia County with more on this for us. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning. And yes, here at the Daytona Speedway, we have hundreds of power trucks and thousands of workers here on standby in case anyone needs their power restored. Hundreds of trucks and an army of 18,000 workers ready to help FPL restore power to whoever needs it if Dorian hits the Sunshine State.
I was in a tornado before, and I know how it feels to be without everything and getting everything back. So when you see people in distress, you do the best you can to help them out.
Despite the shifting storm, power crews still preparing for the worst.
You get a lot of rain, even with tropical storm force winds, trees can start going over, and then there will be outages. But we will not stop until the lights come on.
Workers coming from 34 different states, as far away as California and even Canada, giving up days, maybe even weeks away from family to help people here, people who rely on them.
You come in, it's like Christmas, open a fresh present when you're on Christmas Day, and when you pull in the neighborhood, everybody's out there waiting for you.
FPL grateful for these workers.
They're going to make sure that we get the lights back on as quickly, but also as safely as possible.
We're willing to put themselves in harm's way for others.
You want to return home the way you left, and I got little ones there too, he's ready to come back.
Now, if the lights go out, power crews will first restore power to power plants and then emergency locations like hospitals, fire, and police, and then the power lines. Now, for the latest on the outages and restoration, you can download the apps for FPL and Duke Energy. Reporting live in Daytona Beach, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Good information to have, Amanda. Thanks. Well, Governor DeSantis is set to give another update today on how state officials are preparing and changing those preparations for Hurricane Dorian. It is set for 1 p.m. in Tallahassee. We're going to stream it live on our Fox 35 Facebook page.
Your time right now is 6:08. Airbnb helping people who may be impacted by Hurricane Dorian. Bob is joining us in studio with more details on this. Bob, good morning to you.
Danielle, thank you. Yeah, Airbnb is launching a new program that could help people who are trying to evacuate ahead of Hurricane Dorian. The new Open Homes program. It launched last week as the hurricane threatened those living in Puerto Rico. Airbnb hosts volunteers to open their homes free for evacuees. You can look for homes in Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, and North Carolina, and of course the west coast of Florida. Just head to airbnb.com/Dorian Mainland. The open homes will be available to evacuees through September the 16th. Back to you guys.
All right, Bob, thanks so much for that. And be sure to download the Fox 35 weather app as we continue to track Dorian, even if the power goes out. If you have your phone or your tablet charged, you'll be able to keep updated with us with live radar where you live. And you can also watch Fox 35 News right there on the app as well. A really good tool to have. We're now at 9 minutes after the 6 o'clock hour. Coming up next right here on Good Day Orlando, how road crews in Orange County are trying to prevent flooding.
Plus, it's not just Florida preparing for the storm. How others are also bracing for Dorian. Jamie King, good morning.
All righty, guys. A big, powerful, big, mean, and lean hurricane. Looks like winds will achieve by 2 today, 155 miles per hour in overall wind speed. That is mind-numbing. It's a strong one, and it's going to be razor thin in regard to its passage here as far as closeness in central Florida. We'll dissect that, and I've got the latest now on the potential for tropical storm force winds to begin as soon as tomorrow for portions of Indian River and South Brevard County. County. I got you covered, Central Florida. We'll have all the very latest next here live from the Fox 35 studios after this. Simpson scale. But what's about to happen later today, according to the latest forecast modeling and the great folks at the National Hurricane Center down in Miami, we got a 2 o'clock look here showing this Sunday at 155. That is mind-numbing wind speeds right there, and it takes a lot of atmospheric energy to generate that. This is going to be one going down, certainly in the historical approach to when we assess these storms, and I'm sure we'll probably draw many comparisons to Dorian over the coming tropical seasons. Here's a look at what's going on, though. As far as the track is concerned, I've got this white line within the cone, and the cone, by the way, now has dropped back across parts of South Florida where there are now active tropical storm warnings to account for the close passage of this system potentially. But anywhere on that white line as it traverses the coastal waters here, kind of parallel to our shoreline, it could be within that cone. So again, that is why I want everyone to remain very vigilant. We'll stop it here and show you that the threat for tropical storm force winds with the approach of the storm tomorrow, Labor Day Monday, will be down in the Treasure Coast first and foremost for the afternoon, then expanding with time into Monday and in the Tuesday into Brevard County, potentially in Indian River County. Maybe the first tier counties getting very breezy. Tropical storm force winds indicated at 39 miles per hour plus. We talk hurricane force at 74 plus, and that core of hurricane potential also beginning to move into the coastal waters and on top of the eastern peninsula. So there is concern. Again, our message continues to be one of vigilance, one of preparedness. You are not out of the woods at all. We see high pressure here, low pressure to the north, creating an escape route, hopefully for the storm, and keeping it just offshore. All depends really ultimately on that pocket of higher pressure. Now, for more on the track, meteorologist Christian Giannis has more on that. Chris, good morning.
Good morning. I wanted to point out one of the things that I'm noticing with this latest track from the National Hurricane Center. Very powerful, devastating Category 4 Hurricane Dorian will be moving over the Bahamas, again approaching Category 5 hurricane status as we go through the afternoon. It'll be moving over the northwestern Bahamas as we go through Tuesday, making that turn early Tuesday morning as a Category 4 hurricane, continuing straight up north. Now, it's still a Category 3 storm by Wednesday morning, and this track is even closer to Brevard County. We're estimating less than 100 miles offshore by Wednesday 2 a.m. So overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, winds at 155 miles per hour. The storm continuing up north as a Category 2 storm just off the coast of South Carolina by Thursday, and then continuing off the North Carolina coastline by Friday 2 a.m. Winds at 90 miles per hour. That's a Category 1 hurricane. So why National Hurricane Center changed their forecast? They pushed it over a little bit closer to the coastline. One of the reasons is some of the models are moving further west, again closer to our coast. One of those models included the European model that has moved a little bit closer to the coastline. So that's why they switched up these watches into warnings. A tropical storm warning in effect now, where you see that red for portions of South Florida.
All right, Kristen, great analysis there. Again, you can see who's got what. And now that hurricane watch in anticipation of a major storm traversing our coastline as we work into early midweek here as we move past Labor Day. This is going to be what I would call a rather critical time here for our area, for everyone in the Fox 35 viewing area, especially over the eastern side of the peninsula. I'll tell you, this is really a textbook-looking hurricane. Brooks Tomlin yesterday alluded to this as looking a classic buzzsaw look, and it looks every bit of it as it continues to march steadily toward the Abaco Island area in the Bahamas and then eventually West End. So they're going to get slapped around pretty darn good. The rainfall forecast, this is all based on the European forecast model. And Kristen put this together the other day. We were looking at this, and it looks as though much of the impactful rain with this will be siding over the eastern side of the peninsula, lesser amounts as you work off to the west. And you say, well, how could that be? This is such a big storm. Certainly we're going to get 3 feet of rain, right? No, the west side is the best side on a tropical system. So even closer to that center here on the western edge of the circulation, you would think more. But again, around a little over 4 inches in Melbourne, Titusville in that 3-inch, 3.5-inch range, and NSB down in Volusia at New Smyrna Beach there at about 3.29, with lesser amounts as you see as we go on out toward the west. Here's a look at the tropical storm force wind percentages. Again, very high over the coastal waters, first-tier counties. a pretty good likelihood, at least as of right now, on the current proposed track, that we see impactful winds getting in. A la Matthew, kind of looks like that, a coastal hugger, I like to call them, as that works up the spine of the eastern side. As far as hurricane force winds, it's going to be close. So I need everyone to prepare in these areas for the potential for 75+ winds. And you might want to also put that in your plans around Orlando. I know a lot of you have, just in case we see more of a wobble to the west to account for anything that may happen. You know, you could track it live on your cell phone, the Fox 35 weather app. Ms. Kristen Giannis is back with more on that. Chris?
Yes, good morning. I want to show you exactly how to bring up the tropical tracker on your weather app. So you open up the home screen. On the bottom right, you'll see the icon for maps. You click on maps, and that will pull up a screen with a circle at the bottom right with 3 little dots. You click on that, and then you'll have storm symbols. Storm symbols, you can click tropical tracks, and that will bring up the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. So you'll get the alert as soon as that track comes down. And like this 5 a.m. track, it's even closer to Brevard County. So again, you'll see all that information as we get it in the newsroom. You'll get it in the palm of your hand. And you can also click on alerts. Now, alerts will give you if we have any type of tornado warnings or flood advisories. All of that will come into the palm of your hand through the weather app. You'll also be able to watch us live on the air. There's a streaming feature. So if you lose power, not just with Dorian, but with future storms this hurricane season, you will always have the latest information to keep your family safe, again, right in the palm of your hand. So you can search for our weather app by looking at Fox 35 Weather in your app store. I'm going to send it back to you.
Kristen, Jamie, thanks for all the hard
certainly those communities are not outside of the cone.
Power crews now on standby as the storm inches closer.
Trees can start going over and then there will be outages, but we will not stop until the lights come on.
Guarded optimism as Floridians watch and wait.
We have more warning than people had, 100 years ago, and we can prepare.
And taking a look at the latest track for Hurricane Dorian, the dangerous storm over the Bahamas right now. The storm still trending to the east coast of Florida. A little shift, though, could change everything. Good morning, everybody. 7 o'clock here on Good Day Orlando. I'm Bob Fryer.
I'm Amy Coffell. Thank you for joining us for a special Sunday morning edition of Good Day Orlando. We've got live team coverage for you this morning. Our reporters are spread out all across Central Florida. Right now, though, we want to check in with meteorologist Jamie King. Hi, Jamie.
Good morning, guys. Good to be here with you on this Sunday. Again, continuing coverage of dangerous Dorian later today at 2 o'clock this Sunday afternoon. Winds uptick to 155, too shy of a Cat 5 system. We could get there. Atmospheric conditions are very ripe in that region on approach toward the Abaco Island area and the west end of Grand Bahama. Looks like the storm's going to slow down, if not maybe stall. And that is going to be critical in the forecast as it hopefully begins lifting northbound during that time and that critical turn by Tuesday at 2 a.m. as lower pressure builds in out of the central portion of the nation, hopefully picking this up and turning the steering winds in a more favorable direction away from Florida. But until we see that, I need everyone to stay hurricane ready and prepared. Anything could happen on this white line. There'll be a lot of shuffling going back to the east and west. I can guarantee that as we see consecutive forecasts through the day today, tonight, and certainly through the day tomorrow. This is a very critical period of time, and I need everyone to stay well prepared. We got some silver lining in regard to winds yesterday and model forecast track. There's been some wavering now, and again, our disclaimer is that could totally happen, and I want you again on the coastal areas to prepare for impactful winds as soon as tomorrow, Labor Day, across Brevard County. As we get into Tuesday, some of these tropical storm force winds sustained could make it in the coast of Volusia, certainly in rain bands over the interior late Monday night into Tuesday. Again, these are winds at around 39 miles per hour plus. The hurricane force would very well get into the coastal areas as well. According to the very latest track, these are the most impactful winds, again, at roughly 115 on approach towards Central Florida. So I don't want you to look at this entire blob as devastating 115 mile per hour winds. It looks like the core of that should stay off Central Florida, but there's going to be some deviation in that track, so much can change. Right now, we've got some tropical storm warnings going on south of our viewing area, picking up at Indian River County. South, this here is a hurricane watch right here, and we've got hurricane warnings now through the Treasure Coast outer waters. So this is certainly a development that we're seeing, one of which the Hurricane Center feels that maybe we draw this a little closer to the east side of the state. Rainfall for you. Looks like a solid 3 to 6 inches possible over inland locations. This differs a bit from what we told you earlier. Model forecast still updating, so as the data comes in, I will continue to update this stuff in the Weather Center for you. Up to about 10 inches along the coastal beaches. Could be far worse. I mentioned earlier that, again, things could change, a slide to the west or the east, but the west side, the best side to be on in regard to a tropical system moving through the region. Lesser effects will be a little bit weighted over the eastern canopy of that system. So here's the deal. High pressure steering it for the short term, a longer term outlook, all about lower pressure, digging in across the deep south and spinning these winds more southwesterly in the uppers of the atmosphere and creating an escape route of sorts for this to ride up and in agreement here with the track from the National Hurricane Center. You can see the spaghetti plot modeling yesterday. At about 8 a.m. through the afternoon, we didn't have any of these on top of the state. Now, though, we're beginning to see a little bit of a work back toward the west. So that in itself is a little concerning, but the vast majority with good consensus, real tight with some divergence here, some split, showing us again that the majority of models keep this thing over the offshore waters. But there will exactly be some effects here in Central Florida. We're not entirely sure what, but for right now, again, we're going to go back into the Weather Center. We're going to revamp our forecast and bring in the latest coming up here in just a short bit. Back to you now on the desk.
Thank you, sir. With the storm moving slower, local counties are now changing up some of their evacuation plans.
Still, they are urging residents to get ready to leave. And our team coverage continues right now with the news station, Sydney Cameron. She is live up in Flagler County with a look at those plans. Good morning, Sydney.
Good morning. Take a look and you can see that businesses all along A1A are boarded up and ready for Dorian. Take a look over here and you can see the waves in the ocean. Pretty rough this morning. Now, while Flagler County officials say that the track of Dorian is good news for the county, they are still warning people to be on high alert because we could see tropical storm conditions here in Flagler. Flagler pushing back evacuation recommendations. They won't come down until Monday, and that's only if they are necessary. But the sheriff telling people in hurricane evacuation zones A, B, and F, and those living in modular homes to still be prepared to leave if Dorian shifts back west. Others not taking any chances.
We're going to take a hurricane. We figured we'll just take a couple days, go away, and when we know the power's up and everything's okay and it's safe to come home, then we'll travel back home.
People still stocking up on sandbags as officials warn Flagler could still see a 4 to 6 foot storm surge and rains of 8 to 10 inches from Monday to Thursday.
Right now, we're probably going to get about 15 sandbags because that's all the car's going to hold, but we'll probably make a few trips.
Now, if shelters are needed, they will open tomorrow. We are expecting an update from Flagler County officials later on this morning, so make sure you stay with the news station throughout the day for the very latest. Reporting live in Flagler County, Sydney Cameron, Fox 35 News.
Sydney, thank you. Team coverage continuing right now. Linemen from all across the country arriving in Central Florida, all of them here to help out if Dorian knocks out our power. Hundreds of trucks, thousands of workers staging at Daytona International Speedway. And we've got Amanda McKenzie out there live at the Speedway this morning. Amanda, good morning to you.
Bob, I've never seen this many linemen or power trucks, literally hundreds of them out here, including thousands of workers, all of them here on standby, ready to deploy to restore power. Hundreds of trucks and an army of 18,000 workers ready to help FPL restore power to whoever needs it if Dorian hits the Sunshine State.
I was in a tornado before, and I know how it feels to be without everything and getting everything back. So when you see people in distress, you do the best you can to help them out.
Despite the shifting storm, power crews still preparing for the worst.
You get a lot of rain, even with tropical storm force winds, trees can start going over, and then there will be outages. But we will not stop until the lights come on.
Workers coming from 34 different states, as far away as California and even Canada, giving up days, maybe even weeks away from family to help people here, people who rely on them.
You come in, it's like Christmas, open a fresh present when you're on Christmas Day, and when you pull in the neighborhood, everybody's out there waiting for you.
FPL grateful for these workers.
They're going to make sure that we get the lights back on as quickly, but also as safely as possible.
We're willing to put themselves in harm's way for others.
You want to return home the way you left, and I got little ones there too. He's ready to come back.
Now, if the lights go out, these power crews will first restore power to the power plants, then emergency centers like hospitals, fire, and police, followed by the power lines. Now, if you'd like to stay on top of all of these outages and restorations, you can download the apps for FPL and Duke Energy. Reporting live in Daytona Beach, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Amanda, thank you. And OUC calling in backup to help get power back on if it goes out. In addition to their normal staffing, recent retirees are being called back into place. Another 500 line technicians, 250 tree trimmers, and 70 damage assessors have also been called in from across the country. The company will also use drones to help assess damage after the storm.
All hands on deck, right? Sandbags continuing to be in high demand. Orange County, thousands of them were filled and then taken away. Some people resorting to shoving the sand into trash bags. And as of last night, Orange County says no more sandbags are available. Officials tell us more than 150,000 were provided to residents.
Well, take a look at this. Officials using school buses to protect buildings and fuel stations. This is in Orange County. Employees park the buses right next to buildings to protect them potentially from flying debris. They've also tied down the bumpers and the stop arms to make sure that the wind does not blow them away.
Also in Orange County, to help prevent the flooding, crews are putting water pumps on Conway Road right near Lake Tennessee. FDOT says that it's there just in case any heavy rains cause that road to flood.
And Governor Ron DeSantis is set to give another news conference this afternoon on Dorian. It is set for 1 p.m. out of Tallahassee. We'll be streaming that live for you on Facebook.
Of course, you want to be sure and download that Fox 35 weather app as we continue to track Hurricane Dorian. Even if the power goes out, if you have your phone or your tablet charged up, you will still be able to be updated. Live radar where you live. You can also watch Fox 35 News as we are on the air right there on the app. Coming up, Rosen Hotels helping out evacuees.
For the information you're going to want to know if you plan to leave the house.
Also, Airbnb launching a program to help evacuees. We'll have the details on that next. Jamie?
All right, Bob, latest look at Dorian, quite dangerous. Likely later today, 2 o'clock, we see 155-mile-per-hour top sustained winds within that center of circulation. Drawing closer to Florida, we'll give you the latest when we think tropical storm force winds will move into the area. Coming up next after the break. We're back after this.